Welcome to MetroCast Channel 10. Hello, I'm Dr. Bob Schaller, host of The Pulse, a show that features topics of local interest, local community interest. Today we're discussing small business, and we have with us a local, actually a national resource, the NAVAIR Office of Small Business Programs. We have the Associate Director, Emily Harmon, and the Deputy for Pax River, Small Business Deputy, Ken Karkoff. I'd like to start out by just having them introduce themselves and what they do.
Okay.
Emily?
My name is Emily Harmon, as Bob said, and I'm the Associate Director of the Naval Air Systems Command's Office of Small Business Programs. And it's NAVAIR is a national organization with contracting sites in China Lake, California, Point Mugu, California, Orlando, Florida, Lakehurst, New Jersey, and here in Pax River. And we have small business deputies at each of those sites. And we review all of NAVAIR's contracting actions to determine whether or not there are opportunities for small businesses to participate as prime contractors as well as subcontractors. That's basically what we do.
Ken?
Good morning, I'm Ken Karkoff, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Small Business Deputy at the Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division, Pax River. They principally provide the support that goes to the major program offices when they need the support for engineers and logisticians and other things that support the programs. That's where a lot of the small business contracting opportunities really reside. So that's my responsibility. I have a specialist that works under me, Paula Coxon. She works the same campus that I do, and she also principally works for the Simplified Acquisition Program, which is procurements under $150,000. And that's a great opportunity for small businesses because you actually get an opportunity to get a prime contract. So we have an entire contracting team and a small business specialist dedicated to that. I'm also the team lead for the Lakehurst and Orlando site, so when Admiral Marr looks out across his campus from NOC AD, we are completely aligned up and down the East Coast, and it's a pleasure to be here.
So we're going to start out and talk, topic small business. This is the 2012 Technology Handbook. This is sort of the guide to the defense contracting community here locally. And over time, this is a very informative document. I mean, one, it's a who's who. It gives the names and the context and a brief bio, if you will, of each business. But it also gives other statistical data like business classification, and there's a variety of small business classifications. And I need to tell you that 70%, 69 and some change percent of the businesses listed in this book are classified as small business. 7 out of 10 businesses in our local defense contracting community are considered small. Now, there's a wide range of that. We won't go into that. But the point is that, by and large, this is a community driven by small business and seen so well at NAVAIR, NOC AD, NAS Pax River, and other tenants. So let's talk just a minute about what's the message you want to get to the local small business community about how to use your office, whether directly or through prime contractors. What are some tips, some suggestions for our small business community? Okay,
there's several different tips that we would have. One of them is to use us as your first entry point to get to understand NAVAIR and what goes on the base and where your company might fit in. We publish a long-range acquisition forecast on our website, and our website's a good resource, and the long-range acquisition forecast lists our planned procurements for the next 3 fiscal years. And we're getting ready to publish it again in August, and it'll cover fiscal year 13, 14, and 15. So that's a good first stop, is to kind of look through that list, see if you see yourself, fitting into some of those procurements as either a prime or a subcontractor, and coming in and sitting down and talking with us. And we tout this guidebook as well. We have a link to it on our public website, and when companies come in, we get companies coming in from all over the country to see us. So when they come in, we talk to them about using this guidebook as a way to kind of find teaming partners, as a way to find out who your competition is. If you're a women-owned small business or a service-disabled veteran-owned small business, you should know who the other service-disabled veteran or women-owned small businesses are that are your competition. Because if a procurement's coming out and you think it could be set aside to be competed among just 2 or more service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses. It's helpful if the industry will tell us who the other service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses are out there that could compete on this procurement. So this is a very good resource for large businesses looking for teaming partners, small businesses looking for teaming partners, and also to understand who your competition is. And Ken meets with industry quite a bit, so he can
Ken, talk about when you do meet eyeball to eyeball with industry, what are the kinds of things you tell them?
Well, first of all, Bob, I really like that. I mean, that's one of the principal roles of the job, is really being an advocate. And we advocate within the command, because the small business program is a federally mandated program, so the command is responsible to be in compliance. So my principal responsibility is to leadership, to be their business advisor for the small business program. But my other role, which is just as important, is to be an advocate outside the gate to the local community. So we enjoy that, and whether it's out speaking at a conference or doing something like this with outreach, or it's having the industry's reps come in and talk with us. So one message I give, and everybody's probably heard the Motel 6. We'll leave the light on for you, and I say that a lot. I was at a conference yesterday, and that really, sometimes you say something and it really resonates. I got feedback on that. A lot of the small business folks from other government agencies say, we're going to remember that. We do want to work with you. I mean, we have to buy our products and services from the industrial base, and small businesses are a very large part of that industrial base. And it's a teaming relationship. I mean, we have active duty, we have government, and we have our contractor support and the manufacturers, the ones that develop products. We have to work as a team to deliver the products and services that our warfighters need. So when we want to work with you, and it's about affording small businesses the maximum opportunity to compete for the procurements, and that's prime and subcontractor relationships. And one thing we're seeing is lately there's a lot more interest from the large businesses now that want to work with our office. They come in and talk with us. They want to understand what we're doing as far as the small business program. What can they do to help make their market research skills better? How can they participate in some of the small business things that we do? So we're a great resource for anybody that wants to come talk to us. As Emily mentioned, that forecast, one thing we tell everybody is you need to match your capabilities to what we buy. I mean, at the end of the day, it's that product or service that young Marine or sailor really needs. So it's great to have a really good product or be really good at a service, but it also has to be matched to something, a requirement that we really have. So you need to understand that we're about 3 major priorities. The first one is current readiness. These are Nav, Air, and Navy priorities. We have to be able to fight today. So we're looking for things that are sustainment and making us be able to do things better and reduce cost in those things. We also have to build our force of the future, future capability. So we're looking at things down the road, UAS and architecture and ISR and those kind of strategic needs. And then lastly, it's people. It's getting the right person with the right tools to do the right job. So you have to take a look at those overarching priorities and hopefully take a look at the forecast, those overarching priorities, and match your skills, and then come in and talk with us, and then we'll give you some assistance. I like teaching. I'm not a teacher, but my dad's a retired phys ed teacher, so I'm big on education. I give 5 tips to everybody. First of all, do your homework.
Right.
Know what we're about, and that's important. The second thing is you need to be an excellent communicator. And email, Twitter, they're great, but you still have to be able to have that strong communication skill, sitting down like we're doing today and chatting. Bob and Emily doing that today. You got to be persistent. Checking in with us once a year, that's not enough. You need to be persistent, be professional about it, but be persistent, because it's a very dynamic environment. Schedules change, requirements change. It's a very dynamic environment. You have to be a performer, just like a restaurant. It's only as good as the last meal they served. The same thing, no matter what you're doing for us on a prime or you're a subcontractor, you have to be a performer. And we really look at that before we award contracts. And the last one is participate. If we offer you an opportunity to participate, come in and meet with us, come to an industry day, respond to a source of sought or a request for information, you are missing a big opportunity to either engage with the government or raise your hand and say, hey, I'm out here, I can do that. It's all about communication.
Right, it is. And our website's a good resource for that. We publish quite a bit of opportunities, materials about upcoming events, about ways to interact not only with our office but with NavAir leadership. We're
going to put this website on the screen. It is a very, very robust resource. I guess the final question, Emily, is going forward. I mean, different climate, economic climate now, in particular in the federal government, but still the mission must go on. What role do you see of small business playing in this new environment, more austere environment?
Well, I think that, as any company that's competitive, that provides a good product that our warfighters need, product or service that our men and women need, that NavAir needs, is going to be competitive. That's the main thing.
Okay.
There's always an opportunity. I mean, you can look at the glasses half empty or half full.
Okay.
And, I think it's just a matter of making sure that what your company sells and what the services that you provide are something that NavAir needs, being competitive. Understanding your customer is a key thing. Sometimes we do meet with companies that come in and they don't really understand NavAir, they don't know what we do. So you've really got to do your homework and understand the customer. And that comes from not just meeting with us, but it comes from getting your foot in the door as a subcontractor, going to networking events within the community and getting to know other companies that are supporting NavAir, getting to know the culture, getting to know, as much as you can about the customer.
I can personally attest to that. One, having worked with this office on many collaborative things in my former position, and in my new position, having met with you and hearing Ken, what he just recounted, which is really great advice. I think the takeaway for me was not the Motel 6, although that's a good takeaway. It's not about what I talked earlier about the classification, whether you're 8A or service disabled or hub zone or whatever. That's important. That doesn't matter in terms of requirement. It's,
correct.
Do you understand the requirement?
It's your capability.
Can you
It's
fit your
market
capability to the requirement?
Right.
And that's a great message, because people would just take their resume, and just say, "Here's everything I've done." Well, if it doesn't fit what the customer needs, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
But we tend, again, thinking because our world is small, whatever I've done must be important to somebody.
Right.
So it was great advice.
And if companies come in and meet with us and they don't sell what NavAir buys, for example, maintenance on buildings, that's not something that the Naval Air Systems Command buys, but the Naval Engineering, Naval Facilities Engineering Command does. So we can refer them.
Good.
Right.
Okay.
So we help them try to find, who buys what they sell.
Okay. Any last word?
And I think something. I just came from. I was in a conference in D.C. for 2 days, and this was there were companies, a small business that came from Maine, Buffalo, Hawaii, Florida, California. So it was a national conference, and I think the thing that I would suggest strongly is, and I come from the small business community.
Sure.
I mean, I was hired from industry, so I have a much better understanding than a lot of small business specialists you may talk to.
Right.
I'm used to sitting on the other side of the table, so I understand the business development and the capture and all the strategy and teaming things, and those are all very important. So I think the companies that are hungry and remain hungry. I mean, we talk about fire in the belly.
Right.
That really have that passion, that are innovative,
right.
That really take time to understand the agency's requirements, but also paying attention to all the different things that are going on with acquisition. I mean, it's a very, you have to stay the course. This is not something where you're going to show up on a Tuesday, meet with us, and then have a contract the following Monday. Some of these companies, they really know that it could take 2 to 3 years from the time they really identify something, a target, and they're really actively doing the work. You have to stay the course.
Yeah, persistence.
So, persistence. I mean,
right.
It's just like persistence out there with ISR. It's
right.
the same thing. It's
right.
persistence on this. So I think the companies that are innovative, that are going to stay the course, that are going to really take the time to do what they have to do, they're the ones that are going to rise above and be very successful. And we've had companies recently come in that have not worked with us in the past and are now doing prime contracts.
Yeah.
We've had a lot, not a lot, but several opportunities where some of the small businesses have knocked out other small businesses in competition. So it is a very dynamic environment, and you have to always put your best foot forward, really, if you're really going to try to work with us.
And once you get the contract, you must perform.
Right.
You don't take it for granted. You must perform.
Right.
So.
Well, thank you, Ken Karkuff, Emily Harmon, Bob Schaller. This is MetroCast Channel 10, and you've listened to another interesting topic in the community of the Pulse. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bob. Thank you.